තෆාතු ෆ්ලේවර් තකයකු මුලින් තෆාතු රහමීරු නූඩල්සෙ අයිමී.
Welcome back to Raajje TV's local news. Looking at the details, the budget proposed for the next year will be passed by the Parliament next Tuesday. The 24.3 billion rupiah budget has been reviewed by the Budget Committee and passed by the committee with no charges and no changes. The Budget Committee report was read out at the Parliament floor today, and opposition party Maldivian Democratic Party (MDP) and the government-aligned Jumhuri Party has proposed a few recommendations to the budget. Jumhuri Party and Maldivian Democratic Party (MDP) has recommended greater subsidies for the fishing and agricultural industries and also recommended further financing for social security. The budget is expected to be passed by the Parliament easily since the government coalition controls the Parliament. Looking at another story, India's National Security Advisor Shri Ajit Doval has paid a courtesy call on President Yamin Abdul Qayyum. At the meeting held at the President's office today, the President and the Indian National Security Advisor explored avenues to further strengthen bilateral relations between Maldives and India, particularly in the areas of security. Highlighting the special historical relationship between the two countries, President Abdul Yamin Abdul Qayyum assured Shri Doval of his administration's firm resolve to continue cooperating with India in the interest of regional peace and security. The President further stated that in shaping Maldivian foreign policy, India's security interests would be according to the highest respect. In this regard, Shri Doval emphasized that the Indian government will also firmly committed to working with the Maldivian government towards the mutual progress and prosperity of the two countries. President Abdul Yamin Abdul Qayyum was joined at the call by Minister of Foreign Affairs Dunya Maumoon and Minister at the President's Office Mohammed Hussain Sharif and the Foreign Secretary Dr. Ali Nasir. The National Security Advisor was joined at the call by High Commissioner of India to Maldives Rajiv Shahare and Joint Secretary of India's Ministry of External Affairs Suchitra Duri. Doval was in neighboring Sri Lanka before flying into Maldives. Though the President assured India's security interests would be accorded the highest respect, Maldives and India are said to be at odds since the Maldives has strengthened the relationship between India's biggest rival, China. Maldives recently changed its foreign policy, which previously revealed heavily on India, and announced that the Maldives will be leaning more towards China. India expressed frustrations toward the changes of this policy. Looking at another story, President Abdul Yamin Abdul Qayyum has today appointed Ms. Fatmat Inaya as the non-resident High Commissioner of Maldives to Singapore. President Yamin presented the letter of appointment to Fatmat Inaya at a ceremony held at the President's office on Wednesday morning. President Abdul Yamin Abdul Qayyum has appointed Mr. Ahmad Suleiman and Mr. Muhammad Shakil as members of the Elections Commission today. The appointment ceremony was held at the President's office on Wednesday. Prior to the presentation of the letter of appointment, the two new members of the Elections Commission took oath of office before the judge in charge of the Juvenile Court, Al-Ustaz Ahmad Shakil. The amendments to most of the laws are now unconstitutional and reform is needed urgently, says former Speaker of the Maldivian Parliament, Abdul Shahid. Speaking to media prior to his departure to Colombo, Sri Lanka, MP Shahid said all reforms brought to the country in the past years are reverting and the country needs reform again. MP Shahid noted that the government is making a move to limit the rights to remain silent, and also noted that the right was introduced with the law enforcement system in the country went out of control. That in other instances where the constitution was not respected, Shahid said, the parliament has accepted an amendment to the constitution that will change the number of judges on the Supreme Court bench, and also noted that parliament has replaced the Auditor General unconstitutionally. MP Shahid and opposition party Maldivian Democratic Party's Foreign Committee is scheduled to meet with diplomats assigned to Maldives in Colombo and discuss the current situation in the country. He said the committee will update the diplomats on the issues where the government has acted outside of the law and the constitution in Maldives. Highlighting the effort of the international community during the reform period before, MP Shahid said he expected further help from friendly nations to strengthen the democracy in the Maldives. President Abdul Yamin Abdul Qayyum has today ratified the Fourth Amendment Bill to the State Finance Act. The amendment was passed by the Parliament at the 20th sitting of its third session on 1st December 2014. Following ratification, the bill has been published in the government's gazette. 97% of people participated in an online survey conducted by Raajje and SMS poll has said that they believe the amendments brought to most laws recently are unlawful. The survey was conducted to determine the people's view on the amendments made to the laws by the government to accommodate to their policies. The amendments were brought with little debate at the parliament, which is fully controlled by the ruling coalition. The amendments were deemed unlawful by lawyers and political commentators. Such amendments have seen independent commissioners lose their constitutional powers and independent posts being vacated unconstitutionally. The amendments also contradicts with the international best practices and good governance. 3% of the participants of this survey says the amendments were unlawful. 3% of people said the amendments were lawful and 97% said the amendments were not lawful. Criminal Court has released the only remaining suspect in custody regarding the disappearance of Miniver News journalist Ahmad Jilwan on the 1st of December. Police said the suspect was released when they took the suspect to the criminal court in requesting his house arrest to be extended. He was transferred from police custody to house arrest on the 14th of November. Criminal Court has granted the police the right to remand him into police custody 5 times prior to that. The suspect is of age 24. Police has arrested 4 people regarding the case and also 3 suspects were released before. 3 of the suspects were arrested on the 28th of September and the other one was arrested a day later. Police also confiscated the passports of 4 suspects exactly a month prior to the first arrest was made on the 27th of August. Raajje learned that, and Raajje could not determine whether the suspect the police arrested were the owners of the passport. Raajje did learn that the owners of the passport were from the islands of Gaftal Thinadu, Nyaveni Formula and capital city Malé.